Hey everybody, come on in. This is the Married at First Sight. This is the after party for Married at First Sight season 16. From I believe it was from episode 1. I gotta look to make sure they're not calling this episode 2. I don't know. But pull on up a chair, y'all, because we're gonna talk about this after party. If you haven't seen my video on all the couples of the main episode, please sure to check that out. At the end of this video, I'm gonna leave a link above my head, and you can definitely click on it and watch that. But right now, we're going to talk about the after party because there was a whole lot of additional information spilled in this after party. And they did a little bit of a different type of format. They did the format where first of all, it was an hour long. Last year they only did 30 minutes. This time it was an hour long. I don't know if they're going to do this every week, but it was an hour long. And it was the three ladies and then it was the three men. The three ladies were Nicole, Kirsten, and Jasmine. That's were the first three ladies. Then the second half of the show, the men came on, not together, separate. The men came on, and then there was, good Lord, my memory. I'm having senioritis. There was Mac, there was a Shaq, and then there was Eris. And then the guest on the show was Keisha Knight Pulliam's husband, Brad James. I was happy to see that. I'm happy that they introduced him. I thought he added a little extra to it, especially being a male, being her husband. I thought that was cute. And she announced she's having a baby. I think we all knew she was pregnant last year because we could kind of see it. So maybe she's at the end of her pregnancy now. I don't know. But she is pregnant. She announced that. So she wasn't drinking the cocktail. They had some cocktail. I forgot to write it down, y'all. It was whiskey, bourbon, something or another. She couldn't drink because she's pregnant. Congratulations, Keisha Knight Pulliam. Congratulations, Brad James. So that was who was at the table. But we learned a whole lot of the backstories, y'all. So I want to talk about it. I really do. I want to talk about it. First, they just started talking about, what were they talking about? They were just talking about how they're, with the ladies first, their overall sentiment. And Nicole was saying she was nervous. She's nervous to being there. She doesn't know what's going to go on. Jasmine said she's excited to be there. And Kirsten was nervous to start talking about her feelings. Because like I told you, if you watch my show, the other video over the whole episode, I'm telling you already, I know Kirsten's hiding something. Kirsten ain't who she's pretending to be. And she might be nervous that some things might get exposed about her this season. Because I think we're going to learn a lot about Miss Perfect Kirsten. But she said she was nervous. But one thing I did like about the show, all the ladies really did seem genuine that they liked each other. They've already started bonding. Because remember, this after show is filmed after the decision day. But the girls really seem to like each other, as opposed to last year when people already seemed that they didn't like each other. The other thing I liked about this season was we didn't end up having somebody that people didn't like early on. Because last year, or that year with Alyssa, people already didn't like Alyssa. People already didn't like Lindy even from the Bachelorette party. There were certain people already being mean, kind of already setting up the stage. And then last year, you guys also remember, those couples talked about each other all season long. That's why I said none of them was really, really friends. A few of them, but there was always a lot of talking about each other to the point that some of their marriages got broken up over people talking about each other, i.e. Alexis and Justin. But these people really seem like they liked each other. Right now, I'm really feeling it. These young ladies seem like they really bonded. They had a good time. So I'm believing that whatever happened during the season, the ladies are stuck together. That's what I'm feeling right now. We'll see. We'll see if I change my mind. But right now, I feel like the ladies are stuck together. Then they started talking about a couple little scenes where, I forget what scene it was, but they were showing some pictures, some clips of Kirsten. And Kirsten admitted, she said, well, that's just how I look. It seems like I always have the RBF, which we know what RBF is, a resting bitch face. There you go. So like I said, we're going to learn a few things about Kirsten. And she's admitting that people have told her she has RBF. Well, girl, that ain't nothing to be proud of. I hope she changes it. I really hope that she changes it because we're already starting to see a little bit of glimpse of that with her and some of her pickiness. And I'm telling you, it ain't a good look. It ain't a good look at all. So I'm really hoping that maybe that's how she starts, but that's not how she ends. That's what I'm hoping for, y'all. They start talking about how they told, how everybody was telling their people how they got engaged on Married at First Sight, and Kirsten was saying that she had to tell a few people, she had to block a few people to come out of her life, which was good. I think Jasmine said she had to tell a few people and X them out. And Nicole told a story about, a bad dating story where she had gone out with a guy, and then when they got there, the guy was busy on his phone and not paying attention. And then she was looking at his watch, and she was like, "Do you have somewhere to go?" He was like, "Yeah, I got a party to go to." He obviously was not interested in her. He was not interested in meeting her, and he made up some story about having to go to a party. And then to throw coal on it, asked her, could she drive him home to his place where his party was? And she said, "Oh, I would love to go to the party," and he didn't invite her. Horrible, horrible story. But I think these might be some of the kind of stories that Nicole ran into out here in these dating streets, especially in New York. Because like I said, originally last week, I was concerned that Chris wouldn't be attracted to Nicole. And now I feel so much better. If you watch my video, my other video, I'm 2 toes down, 5 toes down, 10 toes down, whatever you want to call it, for Nicole and Chris. But I believe this is kind of the same kind of stories that happened to Nicole out here. And I think this is why she's going to work really hard in this marriage, because she has had some bad dating stories and she doesn't want to go back out to the dating world. And I think she's going to work hard. That's why I've changed my vote on them, y'all, and I'm giving them a thumbs up. But she was telling that funny little story about that. They started talking about the wild bachelorette party. They talked about how the bachelorette party, that was when they all kind of became a little bit closer. They talked about how they had an eye on Dominique, when she was flirting with that stripper, talking about her pocketbook and doing a little bit too much flirting, a little bit too much one-on-one talking. And they said, well, Dominique did say she didn't give him her number. That's what they said. But they all pretty much recognized that she was doing a bit much, and that's what I said as well. Dominique is out here trying to pretend like she's the one that's been getting hurt by all these cheating guys. But then you see sort of this behavior, this flirtatious behavior, and it makes you start to wonder how has she been in her own relationships. But you guys can look at my video, my main one. I got a few revelations, I believe, or theories about Dominic and McKinley. And some of it was confirmed in this, in this after party. They ain't innocent. Neither one of them are innocent. Them folks, Dominic and McKinley, they doing some stuff out here in these streets. That's what I believe. But Jasmine was like, there wasn't no good strippers anyway. Jasmine was like, shoot, I wasn't getting all hot and bothered over them strippers. They weren't no good strippers. They were like, where are the good strippers? And Jasmine was like, Atlanta. And Jasmine said, please, I am not getting all ruffled over these Nashville strippers. And of all the people at the bachelorette party, Jasmine was actually the most conservative. She wasn't the one putting her pee thing in people's face. They weren't, sipping no tequila or taking shots from her breastises. None of that. Jasmine says, I ain't into this. I am not into this one bit. They were asking Jasmine about her dating history and if she was she liked to fix men up, or if she wanted to make men her what do you want to call it, her project. She says no, she just has a big heart. She doesn't like to toss people aside. That's why I think Jasmine is going to have some patience with Eris, in that she's going to know that he's going to make some mistakes, but she's going to be patient with him. And she's going to be able to be there for him while he probably has to work through a few things. But that's why I think that those two are a good match. But she says she has been the type of person where sometimes she has overlooked red flags and sometimes maybe giving people too much of a chance. But like I said, I think these two are going to make it. I feel really good and warm about those two. Then they start talking about Kirsten and what went on with her mama, and how her mama wasn't answering the phone, how her daddy didn't show up for her own wedding. Talking about she's a daddy's girl, but her daddy didn't show up. Like I said, watch my video, because I went all in on the Kirsten story. I'm not believing her stories anymore. I think what she's presenting isn't who she is, because I don't know anybody who's a daddy's girl and their daddy don't show up for the wedding because he didn't want to take a COVID test. Not get vaccinated, take a COVID test. You're a daddy's girl and your daddy don't show up for your wedding to walk you down the aisle, and you're a traditional woman, as you say, and your daddy didn't walk you down the aisle, nor did you have any man fill in. Not believing it, not believing it. And even Keisha Pulliam picked up on it, because Keisha Pulliam was like, well, what happened when you told your dad? Was he happy when you told him? And she goes, yeah, well, I called him on the phone. And even Keisha Pulliam had to stop her and go, wait a minute. You called him on the phone? She goes, yeah, I called him on the phone. And Keisha Pulliam goes, well, where does your daddy live? She goes, he lives here in Tennessee, Nashville. And so we were like, well, why would you call him on the phone and tell him something big like this? Why wouldn't you just go over his house and tell him in person? And this is why I'm saying, you a daddy's girl, you real close to your daddy, but you telling your daddy over the phone you getting married to a stranger? It doesn't add up. And then your daddy don't show up to walk you down the aisle, and you a traditional girl and you a daddy's girl, and none of it adds up. I'm telling you, I'm on to Kirsten, and I believe she wants us to believe some things about her that just are not true. I'm not believing it. I'm not believing the stories, y'all. I'm not believing the stories. Kirsten said she was nervous. She thought she was going to be a runaway bride. I think once she saw him, she thought she was going to be a runaway bride, because we saw from that episode she didn't like him, because she already told us that if she gives him a cheek and don't want to kiss him, that means she don't like him. And what did she do? She gave him a cheek like she was kissing somebody on the he is a stranger, but she gave him the cheek, and then she started talking about how she wanted someone with an athletic body. I mean, Kirsten is cute and everything, but I wouldn't describe her body as athletic either. I think she got a big booty. She's cute. There's a lot of men who would like her. She's curvy. But I really get tired of these women who are always want all these things from men, and they're not delivering that. It really did bother me, because to be honest with you, yeah, I believe that maybe what's his name, Shaq, may be carrying a few extra pounds in the midsection on the belly area. I believe that. But let me tell you something. Kirsten is carrying a few extra pounds herself in them legs. Let's be honest. Let's be real. You know, that's what I'm saying. Don't be picky. Don't be nitpicky on stuff, because we all got flaws and things we're going to work on. And the more you pick on someone else, the more people start looking at you. That's what I'm saying. Don't be that girl. Brad James, he was calling it out. He was talking about how, you know, a lot of people can be superficial and things, you know, he didn't call it superficial, but he was trying to say it in a nice way, that people are looking at things that don't have nothing to do with marriage. He was trying to tell this to the women and to the men, that you need to stop thinking about all those kind of things, because the things you need to be in a marriage is you need to care about the other person more, if not as much as yourself. And he was seeing a whole lot of selfishness up in here, which I believe he was referring to the Clinton of the world, who's selfish, and he was probably referring to Kirsten as well. Those are two that are probably the most, seem like they're the most selfish on the show. Those two are right there. And then once the ladies left off the stage, then the men came on, and then, like I said, you had Shaq, you had Mac. And let me tell you, I've already said, like I said on my video, the long video, I already told you, Mac ain't who he is. Mac gonna be a Mac truck. But he came up here on this, I keep calling where is they now, after party, with this Vegas show jacket on. This black show jacket with these velvet shoes. And I'm thinking, this is the guy that's supposed to be a shy and introverted. I'm telling you, his story ain't adding up either. He's a weed selling cannabis owner, entrepreneur, a rebel in the family, dropping out of college, moving to California, driving a Corvette, wearing velvet shoes and flashy jackets. Let me tell you, he's about to give a Dominic a run for her money. We think she was going to be the girl up in here, the 25-year-old running all over Mac. I'm telling you, Mac's going to have something for her, because he's from Flint, Michigan. He's seen some stuff. And she thinks she's going to get away with some things because probably that's what she's used to doing when she dates these 25-year-old men that ain't probably never been outside of Nashville. She going to come over here trying to play these games on Mac, and Mac's going to run all over her. I'm telling you, Mac's another person where what they're telling us about him, I think he has a whole another side to him, and we might see it. Because in fact, on this after party, we even heard from him, he had a whole nother stripper party. So after their little bachelorette party, his friends came up to him and said, I know this ain't the party you want. So him, some strippers, and some other girls went out later on to another strip bar. Like I'm telling you, Mac, they trying to paint him as this innocent, clean-cut guy with this little buzz cut like he straight out of the army. Mac got some secrets, y'all. Mac got some secrets. They said Clint was the wildest one at the party. In fact, Clint was saying, you know, they started talking about having sex before the wedding. Clint even said, you know what, he might have sex tonight with somebody else, not his wife. Like I told you, horrible, a horrible. I mean, you know, we talked about Eris. Eris said that he, you know, last time he had sex was the day before they told him he was getting married. I told you I didn't have no problem with that. Kirsten said she was about a month for her. Jasmine said it had been a couple of months for her. The only people who seem like they haven't been sexually active for a while was Nicole and Chris, and they paired up together, so that should bode well. But I believe this process is a long time. I think this whole picking you thing takes 3-4 months. So the idea that these people had sex before they were chosen, I really don't have a problem with that. But I will have a problem with Clint, after you've been chosen and you at your bachelorette party, and now you're going to have sex with someone else on your the night before you're married. That's low value character. Like I said, Clint cares nothing about anyone else but himself. I mean, even Brad James had to chime in and said, you know what, he can't be too mad at Eris because, like, you know, you single till you single. And Brad James admitted, he said, shoot, I had 2 girlfriends before I committed to Keisha not Pulliam. He said he was dating 2 women at one time. Like I said, when men are ready to settle down, they're ready to settle down. When they're not ready to settle down, they're not ready to settle down. And that's why I defended Eris on the regular video, so you can watch that. I don't have a problem with Eris. I'm not thinking he's some playboy out here who doesn't want to settle down. I really don't. I think he's more in the line with the Lajawans and the Woodies. Yeah, they was running the street there. Yeah, they was hoeing out here in the streets. But now that they're ready to settle down, they're now ready to settle down. Just like Brad James says, when the man has the right woman, he will settle down. That's what I believe. But they talked about how Eris's cousin was not happy to see him getting married. She's fully against it. But I think it's because of what, you know, what she was saying. Eris told us that, you know, he lived in LA. He just came back to Nashville, Tennessee. So I think Eris came back because he does want a family. He wants a home life. And I think he wanted to marry a woman from the South. I think he was out here in these LA streets running around, hoeing around, and realized he ain't gonna find his wife out here. So he went on back to Tennessee to find the woman he wants to be with. And I think that he is ready. And I think what his cousin saw, it wasn't that he was doing that behavior, but I don't think what she sees is that what he said was he doesn't want to do that. It was no fulfillment. It's no joy. He's been doing it for a long time. He once was in love when he was 28, but he had his heart broken and he just put a wall up. And I think that's why he was probably out here hoeing around, because a lot of people, they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to attach to a woman. They don't want to get hurt by her. So they just have these random hookups. And he says he's been doing that for 10 years now, and he is tired. He's ready to sit down. He's ready to learn a one vagina. He wants to learn a one vagina. He's tired of having to learn a multiple vaginas. And I believe him. I really do believe him. And he's been in long-term relationship. He said the last relationship he was in was long-term. It was a long distance. He was in it. And he said it didn't work out or whatever else. But it doesn't show that he's not able to commit to a relationship. I think he is able to commit to a relationship. So I think he's gonna be okay. And then Max started talking about his past relationship, some ghetto drama about he was dating a girl. They was living together, y'all. And while they was living together, she was two-timing him with a whole nother man. Okay, get this. He's living with a woman for a long period of time. I forget what he said, 2 years. Living with a woman, and she's two-timing him with a whole nother man. She sends him a picture saying, hey, look at this ring. And he says, oh, is that the ring you want me to buy you for engagement? Because he's thinking they on the marriage track. She goes, no, I'm engaged to another man. This is a story he's telling me. I don't believe this story. Part truth, part lie, part omission. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to say he's lying, but he's not telling the whole story. He tells the story that 6 months prior to that, he had caught the girl cheating on him anyway. And then he tells the story that he gave the girl another chance, but she continued to cheat with the same guy. And this is the guy she eventually got married to, and now they have a kid. For all I know, Mac was the side chick or the side man. He's trying to act like he was the main man and this other man was the side man. Well, come to find out, who knows, maybe Mac was the side man. This is what I'm telling you. Mac's stories do not add up at all. So if he thinks I'm believing these stories, I am not believing it. And then the woman cheated on him, and then he still gave her another chance. He sounded like he was the side chick, not the other way around like this other man. Because she married him and had a baby with him. She dumped him. He sounded like he was the side chick. He wasn't the main man. He tried to pretend like he was the main man, and then she cheated on him with his side man. Nah. I think Mac knew she had a girlfriend. Mac knew that she had another man, and he was the one creeping in on that man. That's what I believe. Mac ain't innocent. Mac is not innocent. And then let me tell you, they started telling the story about Shaq and why Shaq was so overwhelmed with emotion. And they told the sad story. He told a story that was the last time he saw his grandmother at his wedding, because she passed away right after that. Come to find out, his mother had a kidney disease, her kidneys were failing. And she really came to that wedding because she thought the trick was get her to the wedding because, she thought he was going to get an award, because he didn't really want to tell her that he was getting married on first sight, because he didn't want to upset her or cause her any type of anguish or harm in her last days. So she made it to that wedding, and when he saw her, that was why he broke down and started crying. And even in this after party, when he saw the video of him greeting his grandmother, he started crying again, because that was the last time he saw her, and he was really close to his grandmother. I really like Shaq. I think I really like Shaq. I think he is a kind, sweet, a deep thinker, and a deep feeler. And I really hate that he was paired up with this superficial Kirsten. I really hate it. I tell you this, if they don't make it, someone is gonna snap up Shaq, because I think he's a good man. I think he's a good man. I'm still hoping that Kirsten maybe can turn it around. I'm hoping that she could turn it around and see the error of her ways. Because whatever she's been doing out here in the streets, it hasn't been working. And I really would hate for her to come into this season and this opportunity repeating the same mistakes she's been doing out in the streets, and it really hasn't gotten her anywhere. I hope she doesn't double down on this behavior, but right now I'm seeing her sticking to her guns, doubling down on things, talking about she wanted a man with muscles. That's what she started talking about. I want a man with muscles. And a man not beard. I want him to have a short haircut. All these real specific things. If you wanted something this so specific, you should not have come on Married at First Sight and got married to a stranger. Stay on the dating apps. That way you can look, and all you care about is the exterior. You could care less about the interior. All this superficial stuff that really doesn't have nothing to do with how well he's going to be as a husband or mate. Whew. Tired of seeing it. Tired of seeing it year after year. Both men and women asking for things that have no relevance in marriage long term. They showed at the end how how Kirsten gave Shaq that cheek for the kiss, and he was like, yep, that was messy. That's what he said. A messy boots. So we shall see. But that was the after party, y'all. It was interesting, but definitely I go much more in depth on my regular videos. So here's the link above my head. Click on it and let me know what you think about this week's episode of the after party and of the regular episode. But anyway, that's it. Talk to y'all later. Bye.